what is growing on? So I'm finally getting back over to Jim's house, even though we just dropped the video a couple days ago. It's the beginning of April. Jim just told me he's probably leaving around May 8th. So, you know, maybe a month he's gonna be here, gonna be heading back up to Maine. We're gonna get some follow-up stuff today and really gonna address some of the hater comments on what he's making per month, how many soil blocks he's actually producing, because I've had a lot of comments, no way is Jim making that much money a month. No way is he doing 25,000 soil blocks a year. Jim told me yesterday he's got some good clickbait numbers for me. He just did his taxes. We're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. We're gonna follow up. We're gonna see what's growing on around here. You guys ready for this? He told me this place looks ragged right now. I don't think it looks too ragged. It is crushing it.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
6 inches of rain in the last 2 days in April. That is unheard of. It's gonna make my life so much simpler putting this all to sleep and still going to market.
We're getting a wet, dry season.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean, it could be climate change. But that means, who knows? You might not get a rainy season start till August.
That wouldn't be good.
No, and that happens. All right, yeah, it's looking a little ragged here, but you know, it's been producing a lot of food every week. It's incredible. And they did one more late planting. So even the last video here, I hadn't planted the last round of lettuces. So I did another, you know, 2,000 lettuce blocks that I put in areas that had already been planted that I pulled stuff out of. Because we were planting that fire block over there, which has now got little cauliflowers and budding up broccoli. So I'm going to get one last crop of broccoli and cauliflower that were planted, you know, mid-January, which most people think is way too late. So that's pretty cool. And then a few warm season crops. I did basil and Tulsi. Tulsi's, you know, I start getting that in people's hands and they go nuts. So again, it's a crop that, you know, we've been growing in Maine forever, and, you know, I just haven't tried it here. Well, I tried last year, but I got all the wrong seeds. There's actually 4 kinds of Tulsi, holy basil, and so I finally got the one I like, and I wish I could tell people it's the one from Fedco. That's all I can tell them.
So that's all it is a difference in where you're purchasing?
Well, yeah, but, you know, I guess, you know, if you're really into the Indian, you know, culture and what they call Tulsi, there's one called Kapoor and there's one called something else, but, you know, I just knew the one I got from Jack was good and he got it from Fedco, so that's this one. And the bees love it, and it's really medicinal. Alexander puts it in all her teas, the blend she does. So we grew hedges of it in the greenhouse last year because it really likes warm weather.
You doing the peanuts again this year?
I'm gonna, yep. I got last time I was at Publix, they were out.
Do I see sweet potato slips already coming up over there?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch over there.
You already planted them out?
Do you want to quick do this crop though?
Whatever you want to do, yeah.
Okay, so this one, so I'm always about the whole thing that something that thrives instead of survives, you know, to try to make some. So any New Zealand spinach you see here came up in my soil blocks from the compost, right? I didn't plant a seed, right? And look at this crop, it's overtaken. It went through, you know, whatever, 30 degrees at one time. And I finally, you know, I've never ate it cooked. Have you?
No.
Okay, so I gave it to a couple people because I brought it to market and nobody was buying it. Here, take this home. They come back, oh, that was the best thing I had in a long time. I guess it holds its thickness. It's almost like a jade plant. It's so thick. You know, but she said it held that thickness, and I just bunched it. So this is going to be maybe a new crop for me.
That almost like reminds me of longevity spinach.
It does.
How sturdy it is.
It does,
wow.
but it's full of oxalic acid. So if you try it, you know, raw, it'll just pucker you up. But you know, just like a lot of crops, that gets cooked out when you cook it. So I'm really impressed with this one. I'm going to use it more.
And next year we're seeding it.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and back up. It might be a good understory. So he came up with one of these kales. Right, it was in this kale soil block, and look at how an understory I could still be harvesting underneath.
Which is nice ground cover too. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So you better think about that one. And so, I mean, like you say, it just happened. I didn't have to do nothing. And then another thing, I didn't realize so many growers don't know that broccoli side shoots are incredibly productive. You'll get more out of a good broccoli plant with side shoots than you'll get of the original head, especially when I'm seeing people coming up with these, you know, 3-inch heads. So this is a side shoot that's been cut, you know, twice already. So I've gone through this and took this size, and this is so easy to market. You put, you know, half pound of those in a bag and people don't blink at $3. Whereas you put a big head there and want 6 for it for the same pound per dollar price, and they won't touch it. So, and the Arcadia is an exceptionally good one for that. All right, so let's go look at them sweet. Wow, I even got a squash blossom.
Did you plant that?
I did, just Nothing, yeah, you know, whatever. So that's the last crop of radishes that I planted with a carrot planter. So, you know, I should have those starting next week.
Did your high-tech grid technique?
Yep, and I got somebody posted that French breakfasts in Europe are called the 18-day radish. But I think that's during their summertime.
Good morning, Mom.
Morning. Those are the Maine onions. So I've got some.
These are all coming with you?
Yep, those I'll pull out and cut the tops off and take them to Maine. You know, I'm getting a little bit of a market for them up there from friends and neighbors, so I'll probably at least cover my seed costs.
Are you getting some calls to bring the onions?
Yeah, they're always waiting, kind of like it used to be here when I bring squash and apple.
I mean, Jim, you can water all you want, but it seems like when it rains, the vibrancy just comes out.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference. So yeah, that's the sweet potatoes.
How many different varieties did you plant in there for slips?
So there's 4 here, and then 1 extra one over there, because I'm doing that Japanese red that's white on the inside, and then I got purple passion. That is my favorite, the Georgia Jets, and then there's Hernandez, which is another pretty good one.
How deep are you planting those?
So, you know, I wish I had my Matic, but I just used my Matic. So this was potatoes 2 weeks ago.
I see some leftovers.
Right, so I,
Some
dug
remnants.
them, right? And the next day, I went through and just dug a trench about that deep, right? So they're only, an inch below, and then laid the potatoes as tight as I could. Some of the thin ones, I put like 3 in the same spot in the row.
Like nose to nose, not on top of each other?
Right,
Okay.
no, nose to nose, side by side, like this, instead of this, like that.
Really?
When they're thin, those ropey
yeah.
ones. So, I'm hoping to get a massive amount of slips, and so I can sell some, because, again, get this stuff out in the world so people can grow it, because the people that grew them last year, I'll go, oh, I had all kinds, they want more.
So no taterman.com this year?
Oh, I'm still doing that. I want to keep him in business
You
too.
are? Okay.
So I think I got 500 jets from him, and then 2 other varieties I haven't tried. There's a purple that looks really juicy. I can't, it's called like Tanzaki or something like that. Anyway, I'm trying that one and 1 other one. So I $180, but I mean, it's definitely worth it to get a different gene pool, and see where it goes. Because, I wouldn't have ever thought that purple passion would be something I'd like to grow, because I don't like the taste of it, but it's so clean. In these soils, it doesn't get any of the cracks that the Georgia Jets are prone to, so it's easy to market. And then you get the right people, the Asian people just love it. Where'd you get that? How do you grow it? So that's
Have they
pretty
shipped
cool.
yet?
No, they actually, I saw a post online where the April 4th ship, because you can choose your shipping date the further south you are, and they said the April 4th date, it was too cold to ship, so they're going to put it off till the 12th. So, but I'm shooting for, I think mine are supposed to come the mid-20th, so like 23rd or something like that.
Because I'm before you go.
Right, so what I'm figuring is I'll use as many of mine as I want, and then if I have any open spaces, I'll use theirs, or I can just pass them on to friends too.
Nice. This is looking good out here.
Yeah, pretty good. So that was
Cool for April too, isn't it?
I was looking at the last year's April video you did, and it actually looked better last year. It's hard. It is. It's
Wow.
Some of the stuff look a little bigger and more vibrant, but I think it might have been a little earlier, like 1 week earlier than now.
Okay.
But these carrots are going to finish in time for me to get those out, and then that planting with the soil, with the carrot planter, the beets, the turnips, and the radishes has rocked it. I've been picking out of that for 4 weeks, and it's still a bunch there. So that really upped my production per square foot, because I'm doing that. And some things are a little smaller, but I could not believe those turnips that are planted, an inch apart each way in 4 rows are getting that big. Tell me how that can be, but they push up. Right, and then it does stunt some around them, but you pull that out and the next one gets up. So
it looks super dense. You said you already harvested 3 or 4 times?
Well, yeah, especially the turnips. The beets I've only been through. The radishes are
Just
done.
basically thinning?
But, so this has been through twice, looking for the big ones, right? And look at down there. They're stacked. Yeah, and I've already pulled a bunch out of there. So, again, I think it has a lot to do with, so that's way too dense for potential disease. And, back in the day, I remember Cole was having it really bad up at Little Pond. You get the alternaria on it, and that he couldn't even sell the tops at all. He just cut the bulb off. But, and dense planting will increase that problem. But I think the quality of the soils here allow the plant to be stronger and it doesn't get a hold. There's a little bit of it in there, but it actually, there was more before. It's gone away. You know, I'm still getting that in the broccolis too, but it's not hurting my production.
It's definitely the opposite of what you would expect. Wow.
Right, but again, I think that gives you a real leeway with really good soils. And then here's another crop I don't talk about enough. So the Chinese broccoli. Okay, so it's a whole different, you know, it's gailan. If you talk to somebody in a Chinese restaurant, I think that's how they buy it. But it's a sprouting broccoli that takes up half the space of Arcadia, right? And so I've already gotten one cut. So if you cut it really early, it's a sprouting broccoli. You can let it get a little bigger, but I'll go through here, you know, and then that one will sprout up, right there, see it? That'll sprout up, and then another one will sprout up. And then I bundle these in like bunches of maybe, a bunch for me is when my hand's full, so it's probably 6 with this kind. And I'll go through and do that. I'm still doing it on plants that I planted in October over there. So I just want some fresher ones here, but so those plants have produced, each plant's probably produced at least 6 or 7 bunches, and so that's, you know, 7 bunches times 2 is $14, which is pretty cool for less space.
Wow.
And so that one is a variety called Happy Rich. That's my favorite. There's another one called Suho, and Suho is spelled S-U-I-H-O. I think Johnny's carries Happy Rich. Suho, I think you got to go to Kitanzawa or one of the Oriental seed ones, but I really love that. They're even good raw. And then what else do I have here? Something interesting. I'm not doing, but I've noticed that you can with fennel, you can do multi-blocks on them, and they'll size up full. Must have not done it on this because they were new seeds, and I wanted to, you know, I knew I'd have a good amount, but I put them 3 in a thing, and they'll still get full size. So that's another good for multi-blocks. And then the spinach. I mean, these are small leaves, which I've never been able to grow spinach. But look at the size of that leaf.
Those are small?
Yeah, there was some that were almost twice that big early, you know, because they're starting, see how they're starting to rise up? So they're going to try to go to seed now because they've gone through, I've cut this twice already. And so that's a variety called Space, but I'm also growing a variety with the red stem. Remember I was showing you that in the soil blocks? That we were planting these. And look at how nice these turned out. So I'm actually doing a spinach mix, but you know, you throw those either in a greens mix or a spinach mix by themselves. So I've got 2 red stem varieties and 2 green stem varieties, and throw those in, and I'm getting for a bag of that $5. So that's a whole new crop for me. I might not be able to do as long as I can do the lettuces, but it gives me a whole nother, you know, product to sell. So, you know, that's nice to have new things. And what else I got? So this is all the stuff I was planning when your last video was here.
You taking any flowers to market?
Just a few, mostly to kind of give away, but then people always want to buy them, so I did. So the amaryllis are blooming. So I mix that with a crinum and some snapdragon.
Oh, beautiful.
But there's a snow crown that was probably planted, you know, mid-January. And, you know, it's here it is April, and I'm going to have cauliflower, and everybody else is already planting their tomatoes and beans.
I'm well past it,
Yeah, so that's been pretty cool.
Hey, Jed, Jim, this bed looks awesome.
Well,
You get some pineapples coming in over there, I see, huh?
Yep.
Ooh, might have to ship you up some stuff again this year, huh?
Maybe. It doesn't look like the
Mango?
mangoes that much, but the avocado. So what I'm seeing is, remember there's that lula down the street that I originally planted? And that didn't flower at all last year. This one flowered heavy and didn't set any fruit. But lula's flowering really heavy now too. So it might be, I don't know, they always talk about that A and B or whatever that is. This one set more fruit than I've ever seen. I mean, it'll drop a lot of them, but I mean, look at that. So any people watching this video, please leave these for me when I come back. You're welcome to look at them. I think I might plant pineapples underneath.
I didn't even get to mention it at the beginning of the video, and it's getting late in the season, but you need a break around here too, right? And a little bit too much drop-ins sometimes, huh?
Yeah, it could be, yeah, definitely. You're welcome to drive by, but you know, if I'm looking busy, unless you're a farmer, just, you know, look around. I love talking to farmers though.
Going into the lab. high-tech seeding room.
You know it.
Whoa!
So there's my precision measuring tool. It's a pinch.
What? You do 25,000 pinches a year?
Nah, this is different. This is those onion seedlings. So I do probably, I don't know, maybe 3,000 like this, soil blocks. So right now I'm starting bunches, probably 20 in each soil block. Usually I grow scallions here, but this variety is a long day length variety that I'll grow out. Well, actually, I'm going to actually grow these up, keep them in the trays, and take them to Maine in the van. I'm going to try that. I've also already got like 10,000 sitting out in the field that I'm going to pull up and take like I usually do. You've seen that in the previous videos.
10,000 that were done by hand?
Yeah. Well, again, so each block has 20. So
Whoa.
it's not as many as you think, but I mean, it's just, again, you know, you can do a lot if you just take your time. Like I always say, multitudes of increments is the whole theme of small time farming. You just do things over and over and everything gets done. It's like mowing in a field. You know, you start and make a 2-inch cut, and I don't know, 3 days later you've got 2 acres cut.
Jeez. I really enjoyed the last video. It's been a while since I shot it. I got to watch it myself.
Yeah, I watched it last night too. I was surprised it popped up. Yeah, there's some good pearls of wisdom in that. Yeah, I really need to spend more time explaining what I'm doing, because I always think everybody knows. But there's a couple crops I want to talk about today that I think I haven't emphasized how good they are for our region. You know, I'm seeing what Josh is doing with the perennials and publicizing them, and then what you're doing is getting them out in the world. But I'd like to show you some of the crops that, you know, I've kind of pioneered here that nobody has really picked up on yet. Because there's, you know, that green garlic is a wonderful thing here, and everybody, I get it in their mouths, or, you know, especially cooks, they just go crazy, and I can't supply enough of it. And I grow probably, you know, I don't know, without exaggeration, 6,000 or 8,000 of those every winter, and sell them at 3 for $2.
Jim, you said without exaggeration.
Yep. You know, I am a fisherman. I'm going fishing this afternoon. So, but yeah, I don't, you know, the same thing with the money, you know, we can talk about that a little, and I don't like to, like I'm bragging about money, but I just want people to see that a viable living can come from a small piece of land. And, you know, it still blows me away how much food comes out of here. Because I had to do taxes yesterday, so I started, you know, figuring out what I grossed every month, and I had 2 more records. I did a week that was $3,000, which was pretty cool, and a month that was $8,500.
That's pretty decent.
And what was it that same month 5 years ago with what's his name? Justin was here. It was $5,600, and that was a lot. You know, so it's already $3,000 more in a month just because I'm in the same amount of land. So it's just because I'm a better farmer. Pretty cool.
I like it. All right, Scotty, this one's for you. You said there's no way Jim is doing 25,000 soil blocks a year. I'm exaggerating. Jim's doing his last batch right now. Let's talk about this a little more. Jim, there's no way you're doing 25,000 of these a year. Why were you exaggerating?
I'm not. I just do a lot of soil blocks. This is the last little bit I'm doing, and that's, I did like 700 yesterday for the onions I'm taking to Maine, but that's just a drop in the bucket. You know, I'm doing a lot of soil blocks, and it allows me to have the plants when I need them. And so I can pull a broccoli planting out and right away have some lettuce going in the ground because I got them rolling. This crop, I mean, nobody's growing this. You know, and I've been doing it for 10 years. So these are just my small-headed garlic, right, that are harder to sell. You know, they'll be about that big, but, you know, there's probably, if it's red Russian, there's probably 10 cloves in there, right? So I split that out, plant them. I mean, and there's probably at least conservatively 1,000 plants there, right? And I'm getting, for a bunch of 2 when they're big, I'm getting $2. So I'm getting $1 a piece. Right? When they're nice and chunky like this one. And this is, again, you get this in people's kitchen and they go wild. I mean, even when chipping Tanner were here. Oh, Jimbo came with him too. But anyway, so I cut that off, washed it, and they bit it. Wow, wow. And then I had 2 other chef ladies that I got to buy it, and they said the same thing. That's where the CSA really comes in handy, because you can just stuff this in. And because I grow so much of it, they get it every week.
Yeah, you get stuff in people's hands they're not used to getting.
Right.
So they figure out a way to try it, huh?
Right, and I did 4 plantings this big this year and sold it all.
Wow.
You know, and that's really spaced in. I mean, so every little bit's getting you $2.
So speaking of the CSA, what about 3 more weeks then for these guys?
I'm telling them 2, probably maybe 3 for the new Port Richey one, because it's a little easier for me. I won't have to go down. But I realized, what's that?
Is that the every other Sunday one?
No, that's the Friday one. There's the Tarpon one, the one you went along to.
Yeah.
That's been good. But with doing the taxes last year, you know, that was probably almost half of my income's coming from the CSAs.
From Tarpon?
From Tarpon and here. So
And
I
here,
do,
yeah.
because I just started that when the COVID hit, right, the pandemic. I started bringing people here and having that. So, you know, the farmers market has been edged out by the CSAs.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. You know, and then, you know, the health food stores, you know, again, probably a quarter of my income, which I didn't realize was that much, because it's, you know, $60 at a time, but it adds up, especially when it's 3 or 4 times a week.
That's just one health food store.
Right.
Within a mile of your home.
Most of this food's getting distributed within 3 blocks of my home.
Wow.
You know, and they take it out. So that's the cool thing about an urban center, where if you grow the food around the people, then you don't have to transport it. I mean, when we think about what happens with transportation, even for coal, you know, from Little Pond, they're driving from Bushnell to St. Pete. You know, they're feeding people, which is awesome, but, you know, it'd be great if they could be feeding within the town.
I had a comment the other day, Jim. This guy said that he laughed at my post about the why do organic farmers, you know, I don't know if you saw that one I shared on Facebook about the organic label, you know, but basically we're paying more to know something doesn't have chemicals, and his comment was, this is BS, you know, that we need large-scale ag. That's really cool, this little small-scale stuff you're doing, but that will never feed the world. I would completely disagree. I mean,
well, and it's proven. If you look at what happened in Cuba, if you look at what's going on, you know, in the backcountry of, you know, Russia, they're feeding, they never even stopped in a lot of those cities. They're feeding, 60% of their food comes from the duchas, I think they call them. So it's like the cabin people have that they go out to and farm and bring all their root crop and all that back. But this is what's going to feed the world, because this is the only one that is regenerative, this scale. I mean, it can be a little bigger, you know, maybe 10 acres as big as, you know, Coleman might be, but any bigger than that, the eyes to acre ratio gets out of it, and you start relying on machines and technology, and it's never going to solve our problems. It just makes them worse. And if they don't believe that, look at the state of the world. It's the farming we put thousands and thousands of farmers off the land for efficiency. They end up in the cities, you know, and a lot of them are lost because they don't know anything. So we've lost generations of, you know, intuition on land. They knew their land so well. You know, the Chinese people are feeding billions of people, and mostly with hand-powered agriculture. You know, we're trying to push our way because we want to make more money, but it's the wrong way. You know, that's my opinion. Yeah. You know, but read Wendell Berry. You know, read, who else do I read a lot? Well, Wendell's the one, you know, for sure. But just the fact that, you know, I'm feeding so many people off a half acre of land.
what do you think it would take to just stop this large-scale ag? Every other house doing what you're doing?
Well, it's gonna,
you know,
I don't think it'll. We do what we can when we can, and when we can't, we'll do a change. So it's sad to say it's gonna have to get really bad before we get enough people to switch over. But our job is to get it out in the world that this is possible and show how it's possible, so that, you know, when it falls apart, people can go back from 10 years ago, you know, and say, oh, this is how you do it. This is how he did it. This is what they did, you know. And all those fruit trees in the landscape are going to be important that you're shipping all over the country right now, which is awesome. You know, so it's an important thing we're doing here, and that's why I'm here. I'd rather be in Maine. You know, I really would. But this is something I've tuned into over the last few years, and it's worth disseminating. And I don't have to do the work. Thank you, Pete. You do it.
Jim, I'm happy you haven't been in Florida. I've been to Maine. I know how beautiful it is. I mean, I know you got family up there. It's
I was just there.
Hard to leave, yeah.
I was just there. I caught a fish through the ice with my little girl.
Wow.
It was
amazing.
awesome. Yeah, so, and the syrup's still running. So, yeah, but, you know, I'll be here for a while longer. But yeah.
Hopefully years to come, Jim. We need you.
But look at this. So, I mean, most people, this would be like awesome to get that as your primary head. That's a side shoot from Arcadia.
Some people, that's all they get for
Right.
the first shoot.
Right.
Wow.
So again, just don't, I mean, and it's still trying. Look at all of them that are hiding in there that are going to do that.
Jeez.
And and I went through here 3 days and cut the ones that were ready.
Those are still really nice side shoots.
Yeah. That's the first cut. But then I've learned, because what happens when you take the first cut, where did I just cut this one out? See? Okay, so then they'll sprout out here, but they'll be smaller. But what I've started to do is cut back here. I suppose you could probably sell that, but I don't want it. And then they'll have more room and I'll get a bigger sprout. So
It's all about space, huh?
yeah, to a point. And the cut. You know, the lower down you go, the more likely it's going to sprout down here off the original stock, and then you get a whole big one again like that.
That's a beauty. That was a second shoot?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, that's formed in the last 2 days. Because I went through here and cut everything for the Friday market.
Give some credit to the rain there, huh? Oh.
Yeah. And a little different design this year here. Wonder what the zone will look like.
Wow, this is dense and beautiful, Jim.
So these were areas, so this is where that 10-pound cauliflower came out of.
Yeah.
Right, it was right there. Okay, so as soon as I cut those out, I had the next round of lettuce to go in, and I went ahead and, because it was so large a space and I didn't have a single crop, I went ahead and planted the middle, so I did diamonds instead of triangles. But I think I'm going to sell some full head of lettuce now because I don't need all this, so I'll just go in and, you know, cut one of these Salanovas. Oh, look, we got a friend. Oh, he's done.
Worm?
Yeah, it was. But, you know, I'll just throw that in a CSA and count it for $2. You know, and then that will be using that.
Where typically you're just harvesting leaves.
Always, yeah. But, you know, I showed Tanner this, so I've always done this, and I don't know if people catch it in the video. So whenever I plant my lettuce, I put 2 seeds. I mean, I probably said that many times, right? So, and the reason was because of the germination issue. So that way I'd for sure get 1, I'd hope. But usually I get 2. And if I get 2, I started seeing, well, look what I can do. So at this age, I can get that whole head out of the same space it would take 1. And then that one will fill in using some of the root mass that this one's sloughing off. And you know, I won't sell that as a head, but I'll just do this and then throw it in the greens mix.
Just split it up. Wow. Back to the earth with that one.
And
huh?
the doubling it. Again, doubling your space.
Doubling space,
That's cool.
doubling production.
And then there's more of these wild nasturtiums.
That weed?
That weed, I just saw, I was reading Deb Sewell's book. She's a herbalist from somewhere in Maine, North Maine, and she's drying the flowers for something. So I'm gonna look into that because I got so many flowers. I mean, I always put one in the salad mix bag, to, you know, to kind of give it a little color. But it'd be interesting.
Or something, or tea?
Tea, I'm thinking.
Wow.
You know, so doesn't that smell good?
It does. I'm like,
That's dill.
it's coming on strong.
Too bad there ain't no pickles out. I could sell them.
Guys,
Good morning.
have a blessed Sunday.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, and then I guess that's it. Oh, my turnips are going to flower. I should have pulled them. Oh well.
Are they flowering? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're getting some stuff bolting, but not really, Jim.
Well, no, I mean,
How are you marketing the holy basil? Just fresh bunches then?
so all I did was fill the, you know, plastic bin with it. 'cause
Tulsi
it was
basil, right?
Tulsi, yeah. And I went ahead, well, holy basil is another word for it. You know, so I just went through, because the more you clip it, it's like other basil. So I just went through and clipped and put it in a bin, right? So I had this big plastic bin on the counter, and anytime anybody wanted it, I fill a bag, because then I say, smell it.
I smell it from here.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
All you had to do was cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
phenomenal.
amazing. And that's why I planted it like this. Think I got a hedge that people are going to walk by for the next, you know, 6 weeks, and it'll be beautiful and smell good. And then I backed it up with regular basil.
The Genovese.
One of those, yeah, I can't remember. But, you know, I am having some issues, and it interests me because why, you know, so I do. So that's telling me there's something not healthy with that plant, right? So I do get bugs, but that's telling me there's something wrong with that plant. So ideally what I've been doing is just doing this. I mean,
The plant
people
or
don't
the
like
soil,
that.
Jim?
Yeah, but why not just do that?
Yeah.
you know, and it's gone. And you know, I don't worry about them spreading because it seems like if the plant's strong, they don't spread. But I might be wrong.
All the other ones are fine, and only that one had some pest issues.
Yeah, but you know, I had a total failure with the onions that I started in Maine in September. Okay, so same thing I'm doing now to take north, you know, the ones we saw over there, I did in Maine in September. Put them in the ground, pulled them up, planted them over there. It kind of just sat there, you know, I wasn't sure what's going on. And then Herbert, my buddy, gave me some sets from someplace in Webster he gets. So they're like baby onions, you put them in. I think I might have brought something in with those because the thrips just took over. And so anytime they get growth, they get pulled back. So I was pulling these hollow things. So, you know, usually last year I was having onions this big out of that planting, you know, in March. You know, they're great. They're a short day length. I just pulled them up and threw them out yesterday because I don't want them spreading to my other crop. Not that I really worry about that, but why leave it there if it's not going to finish? So I got that out. And my last round of potatoes, I guess we could look at those. They kind of got beat up in the wind last night.
What are you doing with all these mulberries? You taking those to market, or you just enjoying them?
You know, I don't really like the flavor on that one.
Which one?
Yeah, I've just been eating them.
The world's best?
The world's best. I mean, it's awesome.
It's a nice firm berry, but
They
yeah.
are. And you know, if you really let them get right before they fall off, they're pretty good. But like that one will be just really tart. But that one, that one will be good because that fell off. Still kind of watery.
That has probably something to do with the rain, though. I've noticed
be.
after it
Yeah.
rained, so.
But I mean, talk about a happy. That's from a 1 gallon I got from you last year this time.
How's the one in the alley doing?
Not so good this year. Last year was bumper.
Really?
So, you know, I don't think it's any kind of, I think it might be a seasonal thing, you know.
Well, look at the size of that fruit on top right there.
I know.
That
They're
is
as big as a
stud.
tice. They're as big as tice. You know, so when I do my soil blocks, you know, I rinse the blocker every time.
Yeah.
So all that stuff ends up in a solution in the water, and I poured that on both of these anytime I emptied it. So that could be a thing. Plus I pee on that one every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one's a Thai dwarf.
How do you like the flavor on that one?
Good.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chiplet says he likes that one a lot too. But then these things, I mean, look at the size of that plant.
Whoa!
That's why I stopped growing them.
They get too big.
But you know what it is?
I don't.
Yeah, it doesn't even give you a hint. Another 2 days it'll give you a hint. It'll be that, what's that, perfect spiral?
Oh, the Romanesco?
Yeah, that's the
really?
Romanesco.
They get that big?
Look at them, 4 feet.
What?
This one's even bigger. Look at this one.
That thing's up to your waist in there.
I know.
Wow.
I'd love to get a picture like Joe Pierce did with his cauliflower. But I mean, that thing is up to my waist and it's spread more than 4 feet. And it's just starting to form the head.
You gonna get those before you go?
I think so. That'll go in the last CSA probably.
Those are
You know.
beautiful. Everybody just buys them because of how they look.
I know, but realistically, for that much space, you should get $20 a head. And that ain't gonna happen.
Doesn't make sense to scale that one.
No, and that's why, but because I had some seed, I wanted to see and confirm that was the case. Yeah, these got beat up pretty bad, so yeah, maybe I'll pull these this week. Should have my fork, but
Now, you've gone rubber boots this year.
yeah, I love these. Cool, not bad.
Titers. These are those earlies?
No, so this is the Pinto. So in Maine they get a little redder. You can see that kind of swirl there though. It's white and pink.
Yeah.
It's a very firm potato. It's not like it's one that fries up and stays firm, doesn't get mushy. You know, so yeah, you can see more of the original color from the mama. But these are, they're gold.
These going to market here or coming to Maine?
You know, I'll probably sell them at market here. You know, that'll be a nice thing to finish up the CSA. I'm just curious because I hadn't pulled any this year. I wanted to see how close they are. So this one, yeah, if I could let them go a little longer, it would be better. But. So that's Magic Molly.
That's the beautiful one, right?
The purple outside and purple inside.
Oh.
But you know, people pay a lot. Look at Happy Worm. There you go. People pay a lot for little potatoes. I don't understand why, but I mean, they're just as good when they're twice that big with no skin when you dig them early. All right, so that's probably not as big a yield, but I could let them go another week. And then I've got Anushka, which is my favorite. This one usually yields the most.
Oh, potatoes are flying out.
Yeah, they're still small though.
Dang, Jim, look at that soil.
I know, isn't that amazing?
Wow, it's like the pure worm castings.
I know. I get spoiled. But yeah, these could probably, maybe
How
I'll
are you
just
doing
wait.
this in Florida?
Just a bunch of compost. But yeah, if I let these go another 2 weeks, they might double in size.
They'll really size up, huh?
Yeah, especially with this much rain because they like moisture. So I'll probably not do it this week. I'll do it the last week I have a CSA. But again, potatoes, that's storable carbohydrates, which, you know, a lot of this stuff is not going to feed you very long. Though, I just read Scott Neary, Helen Neary, you know, the Back to Land people from Maine.
Yeah, they live right next to Elliot Coleman.
They gave Elliot, or sold Elliot Coleman his
Yeah.
land. So she wrote a book about leading the good life, how Scott died. You know, he died at 100, right? And he just decided it was time to go, so he stopped eating and drinking. You know, he said, you know, it's just not, you know, and that's this nice way to go. But, you know, they were vegetarian. Not that I'm a vegetarian, but he had a salad every day, you know, and then lunch was like kashi and some fruit. And then supper, sometimes they have potatoes and stuff like that. But, you know, he lived to be 100 and was working.
Eating or drinking, I never knew that part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, Wendell Berry says, you know, when it's time to die, go. Don't stick around and sit in that, you know, system that's trying to keep you alive for no reason except the money. I mean, we think it's, you know, nice to do that, but, you know, it's better to just give up when it's over, you know. And I mean, that's a really nice thing. So anyway, not to, but you know, I'm thinking that's something I might look into. Oh, see, there's all kinds of magic going on in the garden. Look at this. So this was carrots, right?
That spinach again?
Yeah, well, that's that spinach. So these were carrots though, and remember I told you they didn't size up very well because it's on the west, they're getting shaded in the afternoon. So when I dug them, there was all these little teeny little carrots, right? And I got, you know, I dug up and got the big ones I wanted, and these were laying there. I said, what happens if I replant them? Well, can you do that? Replant carrots? Really? So I did it. And they didn't like, but they sized up. Look, they all got a curl to them, but look, they got nematodes. That's why they didn't size up. But look at that curl, because I must have pushed them in the ground and they did that. But
those roots have the pearl necklace on it, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, they all got a little curl.
These look great though. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean the fact that you could probably replant carrots, you know, especially if you have an issue with germination. And then like one I left in from original, look how big that got. You know, my carrots never get that big, but that's a Mokum that's, I don't know, 5 months old.
Jeez.
But when Chip and Tanner were here, they cut that up and they made a burger thing and cut that up, and it was great.
Really?
Yeah,
You had lunch here with them?
they brought lunch.
They brought lunch.
Yeah.
That's the way to show up. Farmers
is.
that bring lunch.
Yeah, so out of all, there was probably 500 onions. I had one size up, but look at how unthrifty it is. So that was the thrift damage. Oh, another carrot. How big did that one get? Whoa, that's a biggie.
Whoa. Look at that stud.
That's a storage carrot.
I see that.
So, I mean, if I wait, I can probably get bigger carrots, but I like the babies. They sell really good. All right, well, guess where I'm going when you leave.
Not Maine yet.
Fishing!
Fishing? You going to catch lunch, Jim?
Yeah, supper. We always call it supper.
Supper.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, we found the trout on the oyster bars over at Green Key.
Nice.
Pretty good. Caught a few. Yeah, I think there was a bunch of snook busting bait
You're eating
too.
pretty good this year.
Johnny brought that deer down and a pig. Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good. Looking forward to getting out of here, but it's hard to believe all this is in 4 weeks. It'll be gone and it'll be planted with black-eyed peas and sweet potatoes.
It's really hard to believe. At this stage, too, it looks like there's a lot of time left in the garden.
And believe it or not, I can pile all that in a big compost pile, and when I come back, it'll be like 10 wheelbarrows full of finished compost.
Is that going on your property or across the
No, I keep that.
Okay, that's
Because
cool.
this is, so I'm figuring this is the nutrient dense leaves, right?
Yeah.
So I might as well keep those minerals here because they're growing up out of the azomite and all that. So that's why I like my own compost, especially underneath that live oak tree too. But it is amazing how it totally disappears. And that's where I think compost is highly overrated and people don't understand the value of a sheet mulch. You know, lasagna method, I don't need to say who claims credit for it, but that whole idea of layering organic matter on top of soil and growing in it while it's turning to compost is the most powerful growing method that's available in the world. You know, all the compost is wonderful, but it's like the 666 of organic agriculture. It's here today and gone tomorrow. It's plant food. If you can feed the soil life, you've got this amazing amount of fertility stored in their bodies and in their workings.
Jim, you're gonna have to repeat that one. I thought we were done.
Well, you know, I was doing taxes yesterday and I was figuring out my yearly income for last year, and then I went ahead and just plugged in, because I was counting stuff up, the income for January, February, March of this year. And it came out to $2,200 in 3 months.
2,200?
No, 22,000, excuse me, $22,000.
You're missing some zeros there,
Yeah.
Jim. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't mind that being out in the world because, you know, I'm doing my taxes. I claim all that. And it's still not a huge amount of money, but think about, for me, that's a huge amount of money. So, yeah, it's possible. So you can make a living on a half acre of land. But, you know, anybody that jumps into it is. You know, look at, who's our buddy up in Carolinas?
Oh, Casey.
Casey. I mean, he came here and looked around the sweet potatoes and he just rocked it.
Yeah.
You know, I think and even my buddy Tanner, he's doing awesome on somebody else's land over there. He's got like a 10 CSA going, and
Wow.
so, you know, he just jumped in using somebody else's land, just a neighbor.
Just like Salatin said, you don't need to own it.
No, you got different issues, because he's got iguana issues down in Boca. So he's hunting iguanas, and he's right by a freeway. There's like this freeway wall. So it's pretty cool, but yeah, just, you can make a living at this.
That's the message we've been trying to get out, Jim. Thank you. Guys, just when you think it can't get any better, when Jim can't drop any more knowledge, he drops more bombs. That's why I keep coming back here. That's why I keep sharing what Jim's doing. It is inspirational to me. I think he's got a message for you, and he's constantly just dropping nuggets beyond nuggets beyond nuggets. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope to get to Maine this year. Gonna be back for one more video with Jim before he leaves, but most importantly, guys, it's 2022. It's the year to get out there and grow food. It's the year to teach your neighbor. It's the year to get your friends involved. If we all did a little bit of this, we could get away with mostly moving away from commercial agriculture. This is the future of food, in my opinion. So Jim has some amazing techniques, knowledge in this, and he's constantly sharing more of it with you guys. And I'm bringing it to you, so I hope you're enjoying it. Get out there, pound some dirt. It's 2022. Grow food.